is to become a fashion designer for many size people like me. So actually, I designed and bless you. I designed and handmade all of the maid costumes. Thank you.
What's up, Dorkalicious? My name is Lydia.
And this is Kenny G.
And today is August 14th, 2018, and we're going to be talking about Uncle Tetsu's Angel Cafe.
Yes, Angel Cafe, aka Maid Cafe. We're in the Toronto area, and this is probably the most successful Maid Cafe that's stuck around. And by that I mean a few have opened in the past in the Toronto area, but none of them have ever stuck.
None of them ever stayed open.
They've all been around for they're open for a month or two, and they're gone, right? They're usually around Pacific Mall, and they all failed.
Yes, but
right?
So this one definitely had a winning recipe to it. It was in the core of downtown Toronto. It was on Dundas Street, I think.
Yeah, Dundas near Bay.
Yeah, and it was based off of Uncle Tetsu's cheesecake. So
which was already famous.
Which is already famous to begin with. So really, just adding a Maid Cafe on top of that was just a recipe for money.
Success.
Exactly. So the closing down of the cafe kind of came as a shock. And it was only recently tweeted out recently.
Like within the last month, it's been mentioned.
Yeah.
Right, and it's very confusing. It's very confusing for us as fans of the cafe, and very confusing for other people who are also fans of the cafe, because
it was always busy.
It was always busy. It seemed like they had a recipe for success. I mean, if you go Google search them, you'll see articles as
positive reviews.
Positive reviews, 4.9 out of 5 on Google reviews and Yelp and stuff like that.
Almost every social platform, they were doing very well.
They're doing fantastic. Their stage performances were
polished and well done.
They were perfect. They had a social media presence. Every time we went, they were busy. Obviously, on days where they were doing their stage performances, where the maids did choreographed dances, it was absolutely packed. But other days when we went on off days where they weren't doing the dances, it was still busy. It wasn't like you go in and you're the only person there. So it's really confusing why they're closing. Okay guys, I'm just going to interject here with a plausible reason why the Maid Cafe is closed down. This is a comment left by a user on their Facebook page. I'll just read you the comment. It's a little aggressive and rude, but it is plausible. Here we go. Easy reason why. Otaku would go in the afternoon on event days and buy one drink or food item and then stay there all day to reserve the best seats for the event. Then they wouldn't buy anything else. You can blame the Tetsu Otaku for killing the place with their cheapskate selfishness. They have no idea that a restaurant or cafe survives on turnover. Well, that is true. Then they go on to say that's tables staying a reasonable amount of time and then leaving so other customers can come and also pay. I tried to go to an event and even went an hour early so I could attend. I was told no tables were available, and a maid even admitted openly that some people had been there for hours so they could have the best seats. So Tetsu Otaku, you know who you are. You are responsible for this. This is squarely on you. Now, that is a pretty aggressive statement, but it's plausible. It's possible. We've run little events in the past, myself and Lydia, and had issues where people show up but don't want to spend any money, right? These are anime events. So it's possible, but I mean, there are other cafes like game board cafes and stuff like that stay open with the same customers in them for hours. Like a customer will come and they will stay for hours and hours, but somehow they remain open and in business. So that's only maybe partly the issue. I could say that it is plausible that cheapskates and people not buying food is part of the reason, but I doubt that's the whole reason. Like I was saying, if these other businesses can stay open, surely this one can too. I mean, you don't just give up, right? You don't just give up because people are coming in super early. There are many ways you could have solved that problem. If that is the cause, there are many ways they could have solved the problem. They could have pre-sold tickets for the events. That way people aren't, lining up or holding seats for hours in advance. They could have done that, or they could have made everyone have to leave the building at 8:30 and line up outside to get back in for the event so that they can't come and reserve seats. Or you could have set a time limit on how long someone can hold a seat in advance of the show. So like you can show up an hour early if you're staying for the show, but you can't show up at 4 p.m. for a 9 p.m. show and hold the table, right? Because if people are doing that, essentially show days or performance days would be the least profitable days because people are holding the tables. So it is a plausible reason, but there are ways to solve that problem. If they chose not to attempt to solve the problem, then ultimately the failure is on the business owners, not on the otaku who may have selfishly held seats, right? There are ways to solve the problem, like I just listed. And I'm sure there were other ways to solve the problem. I'm sure there are ways they've solved the same issue in Japan, at their Maid cafes and other places that have this type of performance. So yeah, it's a plausible cause, but there were ways to solve it and they chose not to solve it, or maybe this just wasn't really the cause, right? Anyways, that's a little interjection. Let's go back to the main recording. And more than that, they're not really saying anything about why they're closing. All they're saying is that we're shutting down
for a remodel and
a new concept. New concept, but they specifically have said this is the last day where ACT 10-2, which is the dance troupe, will be performing. Now, to me, that says that that's the end of the choreographed dance stuff at the cafe. First of all, if they reopen,
yeah,
because you take a big risk closing your cafe for 3 months.
Yes,
you lose a lot of customer base. I mean, we've seen that personally with other businesses that have shut down for remodeling. When you remodel, you usually remodel like overnight.
Yeah.
Or over 1 week. You don't remodel over 6 months or 3 months because you lose your customer base. They go find somewhere else to go.
That's right.
That's just business 101. I'm sorry, that's a slight rant, but that's just business 101. You don't shut down your moneymaker for 6 months. But sorry, to go back to what I was trying to say, this is the last performance of ACT 10-2, which is to say that there will no longer be any performances.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's like that we have so many, as a consumer, I have so many questions that have just essentially gone unanswered. Because like if you go on their social media platforms and ask them anything, no response.
Radio silence.
And it's not even just us. Like I've looked at like other people saying, "Hey, what's going on?" Nothing. No response.
No
communication.
No feedback, and I think that's poor customer service.
Yes.
I think maybe they don't care because they're shutting down, but at the same time, if they think they're gonna reopen and retain the customer base,
by treating them poorly, not gonna happen.
By ignoring their customer base, I think that's a poor decision. So I mean,
without you telling me why this is happening, I will have to draw my own conclusions. And sometimes that might not be positive. Because, like, when you say you're closing down, I'm thinking, is there rent arrears? Is there tax evasion? Is there some sort of, like, human rights tribunal? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, is there, like, some kind of... I saw an article when we were Googling around before we started this recording, and I saw
something.
I saw one article that was talking about, you know, is this offensive? This cafe, is it offensive to women, right? But that was from 2 years ago. So I don't necessarily think that applies, but it's just a question. Like, why is this place closing when it's clearly successful? At least to us, visually, it appears successful. Maybe you're losing money because you have too many employees, or
could be that,
or the rent is too high, or something like that.
But like even like, the space that they have is not a very big space, so I can't imagine.
Their storefront area is so itty bitty.
It's like the size of a broom closet,
Yes,
and then there's a staircase to go upstairs, and then there's I wouldn't say it's not a full level. Definitely not.
No, they just have like a small area on the second floor of this building, and I don't think that would cost like an insane rent.
No.
You know?
Like, could it be like a noise complaint? Like,
no.
What is?
No. I mean, they only perform once a week.
Yeah. So, I did see something on Glassdoor.ca, which is it's like an employee can post about how an employer has been. So I mean, there was one negative thing. So if I can just read it really quickly. So for Uncle Tetsu Angel Cafe, so this was posted in July 11th of 2016. It said, worst employer. I work at Uncle Tetsu's Angel Cafe part-time. And then pros. I have nothing good to say about this company. They need to go and learn how to run a business properly. Ooh, burn!
2016 though, that's 2 years ago.
That's when they first opened.
Yes.
So, okay, so cons is they need to abide by health standards more thoroughly. There's no work-life balance. Everyone starts off with minimum wage, no matter the experience. And then the advice to management, it says, please try not to show your favoritism too hard. Oh!
Ooh.
Oh!
Ooh.
So I don't know what that means. I mean, if any of the maids had favoritism, I would say, probably the head ones who were like teaching people. But I mean, I never saw that. Like, I thought they were all very, nice, and like there wasn't like a master kind of going around saying like, hey, good job.
At least not that we know of.
No.
I mean, we can't really delve into that stuff because we don't really know.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
But what we do know is that they're closing down. They won't talk about why they're closing down. It's very disappointing because this was the best chance. I mean, we're being very negative here, but this was the best chance for Toronto to have a Maid cafe that stuck.
Yeah.
And the girls there were wonderful.
Yes.
They were great performers. Every one of them was great performers. I mean, we had our personal favorites. I mean, Minnie.
And Barry.
Barry was good. There was a few other good ones too.
Yeah. And Minnie was our absolute favorite.
Minnie was the absolute best. I mean, she'd warm your heart.
Yes.
She's so lovely.
Yes.
And it's sort of sad that you won't get to see any of them anymore, right?
Right. You said that Minnie still has her own dance troupe, right?
Yeah, she has a group called the Pastels. I don't know how you'll get to watch them, though.
That's the thing. Yeah, there's no platform now.
Yes, because this was the platform to see them. I mean, maybe they'll perform at Anime North.
Maybe.
Did we talk about Anime North yet?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay, well, we have to kind of backpedal for that. But it's like we're talk about how successful Uncle Tetsu's Maid Cafe appeared, at least, was at Anime North, they had a performance where they did like a live stage show, and there was like thousands of people in the audience, at least a couple thousand people in the audience.
No, it was crazy.
Watching,
you had to line up for your
to get in, right? And there was tons and tons of seats, and it was crazy, and it was a blast, and they seemed so successful, and everything was on track.
Yeah.
It seemed like everything was on track, and everything was so successful. So I don't understand why, if it's not broken, why you're fixing it. I just don't get it, and when they won't communicate, it just makes things more difficult.
Yes.
Like you were saying, you have to draw your own conclusions.
It's strange, because I mean, like, he keeps opening up stores. He has 6 storefronts open. He had a pop-up shop recently at Yorkdale. He just opened up in Burnaby, BC. There's 3 in Toronto. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 4 in Toronto. No, 5. He has 5 locations in Toronto.
So maybe he's expanded too quickly.
You're telling me that? Well, I mean, and even on his Instagram, he's like shirtless beside a pool. So you're like, Uncle Tetsu, yeah. I'm like, Uncle Tetsu, like, are you really not doing well that you have to close down this like gem? Like, even if it's operating at a loss, like, can't you find some way to make it work without you having to close it down completely?
It's really sad. It's really, really sad. We're disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, we're absolutely disappointed because we loved that cafe.
And like, we tried to go today, and it was
yes, we didn't even talk about that yet.
I know, but we should. It was just a letdown. So we called because we're like, hey, what's going on? Can we buy tickets? And they said no. You can make reservations for dinner. So we called on Sunday. They're like, you can make reservations for dinner, and then anyone who's seated at dinner can stay for the show, and then if there's any room, then other people can come. So we're like, okay, well, we had to like, check with our crew to make sure that see who's coming. So we didn't make reservations on Sunday, which we should have done. But
derp.
Oh well. So we go today because we called again. And they're like, hey, we're not taking reservations anymore, but if you come for like 7-ish, you should be fine to see the show. We're like, okay, perfect. We arrive at 6:45. Already packed, already sold out.
Lined up out the door.
And kind of like a sorry, too bad situation. So like, I was really peeved. And then like, when you're looking at on the online forum, people were like, oh, I came at like 5:40 and I was told to leave. So it's like, where, like, how are we gonna get to this place? Like,
they didn't plan ahead.
No, like
they did. I don't know. I'm so confused how they did not foresee that they were gonna be swamped.
Right.
And every time, you're the one who called them, but I reached out to them on social media like 3 or 4 times and said, how do we get tickets? How do we make sure that we get to be present? And not one response.
Right.
And then while I was on their social media, I saw other people asking like, why are you closing? What's happening to the cafe? And no responses. So it's like radio silence, and it's really confusing, and I don't get it.
No.
I don't get it.
None of us get it. And we're left out in the dark here.
What I do get is a lot of people are in it for the cheesecake, right? There's a whole side of people who are in it for the cheesecake, but there are also the side that are in it for the anime, Maid Cafe, Japan experience, right? And maybe, well, definitely, the cheesecake side of it is more profitable than the Maid Cafe side of it. And so maybe the owner, whoever that is,
Uncle Tetsu,
has seen this and decided that it is not profitable to have a Maid Cafe. He'd rather just have cheesecake storefronts. And that could be true.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. This is all
hearsay.
Hypothetical.
Yeah.
Hypothetical. And this is what happens when you want to treat everyone with radio silence. We're left guessing why is it closing when it appears successful?
It could have been a staffing issue. There could have been too many staff members, and maybe
it could be.
you know, and then if you watch the Instagram, right? I mean, like these girls do practice, like, you know, they do rent out studio time and they practice their dancing. So maybe that may have come at a cost as well. Because I mean, obviously you have to pay for studio space, you have to pay for the girls' time. So it could have been.
But
like,
they do charge like $20 to watch the stage performance.
They do. They do.
You know, 20. They get like 50 heads in that room to watch the performance. You do $20 times 50 heads. I mean, what is that? $1,000? No, $500.
I think so. Oh God, us millennials, we need our calculators. 50 times 20, you said?
Yeah.
50 times 20. 1,000 buckaroos.
$1,000. Yeah. So that'll cover the.
For one day, that's Brad makes that.
That'll cover the studio time and whatever else, as well as their wages. You know.
Yeah.
So
and so they all get shared tips, like, and then I believe they make minimum wage, if not a little bit more. So because like these are like students from like UFT.
Yeah, they're all students, or most of them are at least.
Yeah. So I don't know. It could have been anything really. If I can make any recommendations for future stuff, I would say maybe do a little bit more of the Maid Cafe stuff. Like for example, if you actually go to Japan, right? Like you can like play a game with the maid, $5. You can take a picture with the maid, $5. You can buy a picture of your favorite maid or a pin, $5. Like
or signs
or like pen lights. Like everyone had a pen light there, and every time I was like, where do you get these? People were like, oh, just buy them off eBay. It's like, well, that could have been a revenue stream too. I mean, if that was even the problem, we don't even know. We're just guessing, and it's just like
we're completely in the dark, and we're completely guessing, and it's mostly just
we're heartbroken.
We're frustrated. But more than that, we're sad that the store is closing because we really liked it.
Yeah. It was the closest thing we could
in
get.
my personal opinion, this was the greatest chance for such a thing to stick.
Yes.
In Canada. There's no way, if it can't survive in Toronto, it's not going to survive in Hamilton or Ottawa or Montreal or wherever else. Maybe Vancouver, but I mean, if it can't stick here, I just don't see it sticking in anywhere in Canada, really.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because I mean, Toronto has very specific niche markets. And because the population is there to support it.
Huge population. There's lots of anime conventions, so lots of anime fans, right? Yeah. Fans of Japan who know about maid cafes and want to attend. Really just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And disappointing and heartbreaking that we won't get to see
our favorite maids. Because, like, if you haven't been to a maid cafe, it's quite the experience. Because, like, I know, like, the first time I went to a maid cafe, granted we were in Japan, but this is still the same issue. I was, like, angry and miserable, and I was just like, let's just go to a maid cafe. Like, I hate being on the street. I need to sit down. And we went, and, like, the maids just, like, lift your spirits. Yeah. Like, I've never seen a happier person than a maid who's all like, how can I help you? You know, like, come sit down. What would you like to drink? And then you're just like...
The outfits. The attitude.
And then they're like, you know, they'll bring you the food and they're like, we need to do a magic spell, you know, cute, cute, cute. And you're like, oh, this is the cutest thing ever. And then, like, you can't help but feel happier being around them. So like, that was the same thing at Uncle Tetsu's. And it just, you know, the girls were just so cute and lovely. And the food was good, and you saw them doing the dances, and it's just like, and then you felt like, right, you got into the chance.
I remember specifically last time we were there, and like the last dance is usually like they had everyone like come out and dance with them, and like Minnie and a few of the others are like running around high-fiving people in the audience, and you're just like, yeah, this is pretty friggin' awesome, right?
Like, Minnie pulled me on stage, my heart was pumping, and I was like, oh my god! It was just so much fun. and it's infectious. You're like, you can't help but feel happy after you leave there. You know?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
And especially like in this society, we're like worked to the bone. People are depressed all the time. It's just to have that experience, it's just mind blowing because it's like such a positive experience. Has great music, you know, great costumes, and like these aren't slutty maids by any means. They are cute Victorian style maids, you know, and it's like it's perfect. Anyways, I just thought that it's just gonna be really sad to see them go, and I really wish I knew what was going on, because if they were coming back bigger and better, then I would be like holding my breath waiting for it. But,
excited, yeah.
You know, like it's just like, you know, like pumping you up, like, guys, oh my god, it's almost time for them to reopen. But like the fact that like you're giving us nothing, it makes me really sad, because I'm like, you've cultivated this fan base.
It makes you frustrated too. It makes you resentful because you're like, you know, in your own little way, you help support.
You did. They didn't stay 2 years for nothing.
They didn't stick around for 2 years out of his own dime.
Right.
They stuck around because it was successful.
Yes.
So if you're closing down, come on, say something, right? Don't go radio silence. I know that's like the big corporate thing to do, is don't tell people, don't admit a defeat or anything like that, or maybe it's some kind of Japanese honor thing. I don't really know. We don't know, and we're not gonna know unless someone
tells us.
Please
let us know in the comments below if you know what the hell's going on. Sorry, 2 more points I want to make, just because like 2 very detrimental things kind of happened within like the industry that they managed to overcome. Like, for example, do you remember when unisex washrooms were a big issue? They managed to overcome that, and the way they did that was they had individual stalls. And,
yes.
It was like, that was perfectly done, because like I know people like were just like, absolutely not making a stall for this and that, but then that's how they overcame it.
They solved the problem. In a clever way.
In a very clever way. And it was.
So what's the second one?
The second one was the wage increase, right? I mean, because a lot of businesses went under when that minimum wage came up, right? But they managed to stay afloat for a while. So
another year.
So they've overcome 2 major hurdles. So for them to just be like, okay, peace out, it's strange.
It's very confusing. I think bottom line, without someone telling us, my assumption is Mr. Tetsu sees that this is not as profitable as he'd like.
Or there's some shady business going.
Or there's something sketchy afoot, but I think it all has to do with dollars. I mean, he is a businessman, but it would be nice to know what the heck is going on.
Yes.
It's very frustrating, and it's just disappointing, because like I was saying, this was the best chance for it to stick. Yes. This was the first time a Maid cafe was running in the core of the city. All the other Maid cafes opened up around Pacific Mall, which is like kind of a bit of a sketchy mall to begin with.
Right.
And people didn't usually travel out that far to get the Maid cafe experience. So, I mean, Uncle Tetsu's Maid cafe was in the core of the city. They were attending conventions promoting it. They had stage performances at conventions.
They had stage performances weekly.
They had stage performances weekly. They had photo booths at Anime North and potentially other conventions that we just didn't attend. But
great social media presence, great reviews. Everything was great.
So it's very confusing how they're doing poorly or closing.
Right.
It's heartbreaking, really. And it's really sad that we're not going to get to see them at the Anime North anymore or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
because they were hands down like one of the like only reasons I went to Anime North, because it's been going downhill lately, and I mean that's another podcast for another time. But
We already talked about that topic.
I know. Okay, we'll link it
But
in the.
I'm pretty sure even in our Anime North podcast, we said how the maid, Uncle Tetsu maids, were
a redeeming quality.
a redeeming quality, and they were 100 times better than the Anime North maid cafe.
Because at least they're accessible. The Anime North.
Well, not only that, they were able to perform, the choreographed dances and all that stuff.
An hour-long performance.
And they were very talented.
Yes.
And I can't say enough positive things about that troupe. Those girls were amazing.
Yes.
I don't know why they're going away or why the cafe has chose to go a different direction. I'm very disappointed.
Yes.
That's all I can really say. It's very disappointing
Yes.
that we won't see more of these girls because they're very talented girls.
Yes. I have to agree. I'll miss you, Minnie. I'll miss you, Barry. And all the other girls. I don't remember your names, but you are all wonderful.
Yeah. Yep, pretty much, yeah. I mean, is there anything else really to add?
Why? Why? Okay, that's pretty much all. Please let us know in the comments below.
We love you, Minnie.
We love you, Minnie. Oh my god, you're the best maid of all time, Medo. Okay, so we're just gonna end off for now. So if you like what you see,
We're gonna go cry.
yeah, we're gonna go eat our cheesecake and cry in the corner. Oh god. So anyway, sorry. If you like what you see, please smash that subscribe button. Give us a like. Give us a share. Give us a kiss. Just kidding. Is that possible?
No, give us a like.
Give us a like.
Give us 5 likes on this video. We need 5 likes from every person.
5 likes and Kenny will shave his beard.
That's not true.
500,000.
Yeah, 500,000 likes, okay?
And Kenny will shave his beard. Anyways, okay. So it's been absolutely fun. Wait. Oh, wait. We also have a Twitter. You are _dorkalicious. And
Oh my goodness.
well, it's just letting you know. Okay. Anyways, so yes, please.
We love you, Minnie.
I love you, Minnie. Oh my god, Minnie, we're gonna miss you. You're the best. I gave Minnie a present for her birthday. I think I may have scared her, but I thought she was so adorable. I'm like, I need to give this to her. So, I hope I didn't scare you, Minnie. Anyways, so it's been fun dorking out with you guys. This has been Lydia.
And Kenny G.
Kenny G. We're gonna go cry in the corner now because Uncle Tetsu's Angel Cafe is closed.
Bye.
Bye.